everyone. So on this day, I'm doing some gardening maintenance and giving you a tour of the garden. So I'm starting off with feeding some of the plants with some tomato food. So the tomato food I'm using is Big Tom. That's just what they had in my store. But I usually use the other tomato food that's organic. But they didn't have that in this time. But on this day I ran out of that tomato food, so I'm going to get the one that I usually buy, which is the Tomorite, I think, organic one is the one that I tend to get. And that one's like pet safe and everything, so that's one that I like to get. I don't have pets, but of this type I use 1 full cup per my watering can, which I believe is 10 litres, or is it 5 litres? I don't remember. So I try to give them quite a generous amount of food each, and I carried on doing that around the whole garden. Then after that I did some pruning of some of the plants, so here I'm cutting off the dead leaves of the pumpkins, and I kind of do that around the whole garden. This just helps to make sure the plant's producing as much as it can. I also want to cut off any of these leaves because I have the tomato plants in that bed right next to it, and I don't want any diseases. It also helps increase the airflow, so that's ideal. Again, to reduce the chance of diseases and infections. I have these pumpkins lining up the mesh that I have around my tomato plants, but I do have some other pumpkins in a separate area as well. So that you can see lots of healthy leaves now. I do go back up and pick those leaves up later on. This is some more of my pumpkins, and some other squash are in this bed too. So this leaf I'm cutting off now is a yellow courgette plant. And this is my other patch of pumpkins. So once I'm all done pruning these, I did prune the tomatoes as well, but I don't think I filmed that. Then I had some plants that I needed repotting, so we'll move on to that next. So I have these chili plants. They're in pretty small pots and the plants are completely outgrowing the pots, so I need to get these repotted too. As you can see, I actually have chilies growing on them. So these are pots I'm going to repot them into, just some leftover pots. And I've got some compost here to plant them with. So I have filled the pot and get the chili plant out. And there you can see how overgrown the roots are. So I do take them apart a little bit around the edges just to make sure they don't get root bound. I should have probably put my gloves on, but at that point it was too late. Then I just put it to the top. It's on a pretty warm day that I repot these. Now it's usually not ideal to repot on a really warm day, but it was the time that I had available to do it, so that's when I did it. But I have to make sure I really water these in after I do repot them. Oh, lost me. And then those are all the chilies. I noticed that this chili was damaged, so I pulled that off. I checked the others and they're all fine on all the other plants too. So I just take that one off. I'm not sure if that's insect damage or what. I would presume so. Anyway, the rest of the plant's good, so I water that in and repot the rest of the plants. So that's them all done, and I'm just watering them in really well, not with the jet on. And we've had them in the greenhouse now for a little while and they're all doing well, so there was no problem repotting them. I also have these ones that are in my bed that are doing really well, and these ones are outdoors. So this is a bit of a tour of the garden. So first I have my pumpkins here, and this is my biggest pumpkin so far. It's grown a little bit since then. And like I say, I have them trellising up the mesh just there. Then next to them I have my tomatoes. All the varieties are doing well except the cherry tomatoes. Only a couple of those plants are doing quite well. But that is what it is. And I do just give them a bit of extra water even though they've had their tomato food. Here you can see one of the tomatoes turning red. That's a Tigerella variety. Over here we've got the Golden Sunshine variety. So I have lots of different varieties. So that's why some of the plants look a bit different. Like that variety is a Roma variety, so it's more of a bushy type. And then this is one of the cherry ones that didn't do too well. And then over here are the more beefsteak ones that have grown a bit bigger since. And I even have some basil down here that I planted with them as well. Over here, this bed is a bit of a mess. It's a bit bushy. So I've first of all the small cucumber plants. I had 2 of these, but one of them died. In fact, I think I had 3, but one of them died. I still have 3 in the greenhouse though. That's one that died. Then here I have some coriander, which I'm just going to pull the flowering bits off of. Then I have some tomato plants that have just completely bushed out. And then next to them, that's a pumpkin plant. I have some sunflowers at the back. And then in between I have so those are the sunflowers. That's some basil. And these are the pumpkins. And then I also have, like I say, the yellow courgettes as well, just growing here. But everything seems to be thriving so far. Then this bed was a bit of a failure bed. A lot of the stuff didn't take. But I have some kale, some beans. That's an odd tomato plant back there. And I have some leeks and chilies. That's my blueberry plant. And then into my greenhouse, which is a bit of a mess at the moment. I have my chili plants that I repotted. And tomato plants. Then my cucumbers are down here. Again, they're not thriving, but they're doing okay. They just take a lot of water. And then some more tomato plants here that I couldn't fit outside. And then that's in chamomile. And this is my herb tower. But I just haven't repotted a lot of the herbs. So there's some in there, but it's not fully packed out. And then there's another 2 chili plants. Then coming outside, I have my raspberry and kiwi plant. Some beans. These are some beans that's starting to die off now. But they're doing quite well. I'm not sure why the plants are dying back. I'm not sure if that's supposed to happen or not. I really need to investigate that. So if you know, let me know. And then lastly, I have my pumpkins here, which we sorted out together. So I have one here. I'm not sure if that's a pumpkin or some other type of squash. Got that plant there. I've got a little pumpkin down here growing. And then the plants at the back are huge, but they don't have pumpkins yet. So that one runs on there, and then that one goes all the way up the hedge. And it's still growing at the hedge currently. It's very large. But it still hasn't got a pumpkin ground yet, but fingers crossed it will do soon. So thank you for watching, and if you have any advice or anything, please let me know in the comments. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye!